Today we're going to do a super hard one, and you're going to watch me struggle because this is going to be a really tricky question. And the one that I'm talking about is, of course, texting. Okay, texting is infamously difficult, especially if you want to do it in the 5 minutes that it takes to do it, an OUCC question. But we're not going to do it in 5 minutes. I'm going to walk you through the logic behind it. If we were doing it in exam conditions, you would zoom through all the logic, but I'll go walk through this so that we don't have to, okay? So in order to reduce the length of our text messages, you apply the following rules in order. This is really important, in order. Capitalize the first letter of all your words. Replace the double letters in words with single letters. Now remember, this only happens inside the word, not across the whole message. Remove all the vowels, unless a word starts with a vowel. Remove all spaces. So there's a few key skills here. First key skill is that you need to be able to capitalize the first letter of all your words and recognize that there is already a shortcut for that using text blocks. The text block that we're looking for is title case. Okay, title case turns the first letter of every word to be capital letters, but remember our message has multiple words, so you got to figure out a way to separate out that message into multiple words and then utilize the title case. Second, we need to replace double letters in words with single letters, so you have to be able to recognize how to store the previous letter and the current letter. Remove all vowels unless a word starts with a vowel. Now you can do this with a massive if statement, or you can do it in a quick way using find first occurrence of in the text blocks, and then finally remove all spaces. And that's going to be easy with our very first block that we're going to introduce, and that is to create a list using text. And then in the end, you're going to use the reverse of that, create text using a list, and then remove all of those spaces. The task is to write a program that, given a string of lowercase words, outputs a string of reduced length by following the rules given above. For example, great big trees turns into this shortened message, GRT, BG, TRS. So all the vowels are removed, all the double letters are removed, and also the first letter of every word is capital, and all the spaces are removed. Okay. Now, it says do not alter any of the blocks provided. That's great. Okay, so all you get is a message, and you return with the shortened message. Very difficult if you don't know what to do, okay? But those 4 or 5 skills that I just mentioned are the keys, okay? First of all, you need to create that string, that text message, into multiple words, because I don't want to have to deal with the whole string all at once. That's just crazy, because then I'll have to figure out when does a word start and when does a word stop. Right, and I have to count the spaces. Blah, I don't want to do that. I am going to create a list. Okay, I'm going to create a variable and call it message list. Okay, message list. I'm going to set that message list to be the list version of our message. The list version of our message. So how do I do that? I'm going to go into lists. And then I'm going to scroll down and make a list from text. Now we've gone through all the basic blocks in our previous lessons. It's really important to know all the blocks inside out. Otherwise, it's very difficult to tackle OUCC unless you know all the tools at your disposal. Make list from text. What is the list that we're going to make? We're going to make the list from our message with a delimiter. That means the separator of all of our list items is going to be a space. It's not going to be blank, it's a space, because the great space big space trees, the delimiter of this is the space. Okay, now that we have done that, we're going to now loop through each item in the list and do something. Okay, I'm going to go loop through each item in the list, each word in the list, and then I'm going to populate whatever I create into reduced message. Okay, so reduced message, once I see that, remember the first thing we do when we see an output is we need to set that variable as soon as you can. Set that variable as soon as you can, because if you don't do that, then you might accidentally create a whole bunch of junk variables that float around that you have to convert back and forth, and you don't want to do that. You want to be able to use the whatever the output is to create a running total of your code. So set reduce message. What is it going to be? It's going to be blank text right now, right off the bat. And now I know that whatever I do with my message list, I'm going to populate the reduced message. Okay, so I'm staying focused on my task. Let's loop through. For each item I in list, message list. Okay, each item I don't want to call this I. I'm going to rename this to be word, because I is a word. It's a single word in the list. So I don't want to get confused with all these like magical variables hopping around. So for each word, I'm going to, first of all, you're going to notice that it says that unless the word starts with a vowel, it's going to create you're going to have to remove the vowel. So you're going to have to remove all the vowels except for the first one. How do I do that? Well, I'm going to do a trick, because some of this is going to help you. Remember how it says that it's going to replace the first letter of all your words with a capital? Well, if you do that, then all you have to do is check for the vowels in lowercase, right? Because it's never ever going to be lowercase if the first word is already capital. Okay, so here for each word in the message list, I'm going to do something. I'm going to say set a new variable. This new variable is called new word. Set this new word to be whatever my word is in title case. Okay, so here I said just go into text, and then I say uppercase, title case of my word. Right, I've already done the first thing. All right, first thing all sorted. Next thing is that it says to replace the double letters, but here's the thing, right? I don't need to replace all the double letters first. I can replace all the remove all the vowels first, because just like in trees, for example, the double E turns into a single E, but then you're still gonna have to delete it anyway. So why do we need to keep track of double E's, right? So so we need to remove all the vowels. Let's remove all the vowels. So set new word to title case word, and then I'm going to go and do something like this. Actually, I think we can set this title case towards the no, actually, no, that's right. This is what I'm talking about. This is a very difficult question. All right, so I'm going to tackle it the other way. I'm going to go through and remove all of my... Oh no, I can remove all of the vowels at the very end, because I can populate reduced message letter by letter. Okay, so when I'm populating that letter by letter, then I remove all of the vowels. All right, okay. Change of plan. We're going to do the other, the other one. Okay, let's remove the doubles first. Okay, so we will do this. Reduce message. I'm going to say to loop through for each item I in list, but I'm not going to do I neither. I'm going to rename the variable to be a letter. For letter in list, for each letter in list, oh actually, is there a text one? This is the thing. For each, oh no. For a for loop, I don't get to count in letters. Okay. So here, for each letter in the new word, for in this new word, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep track of what my previous letter is. So I go to create another variable, prev letter, and then I'm going to set it here. Previous letter is going to be blank. I haven't started counting any text yet. I don't know what the previous letter doesn't exist yet. Previous letter, for each letter in the new word, I'm going to say if that letter is not equal to the previous letter and it is not a lowercase vowel, then I'm going to add it to reduce message. So if the logic, if the letter is not equal to the previous letter and it is not a it is not a vowel. Okay, so if the letter is not equal to a previous letter, and how do I check if it's not a vowel? Well, I need to create a variable for what vowels are, because Blockly doesn't know what a vowel is. So yeah, vowels. But this is a special list of vowels. This is just the lowercase letter vowels, because that's really important. Because I don't want to remove the capitals, because the only way that turns into capitals is if it's at the start of the word. Remember up here it says the words will be provided in valid English with no punctuation, and it also says that everything is going to be in lowercase. Perfect. Here, vowels is going to be text, going to be A, E, I, O, U. This saves us from making a massive if statement. And the letter is not in vowels. So how do I check that? I go to text. First occurrence of the in text vowels, the first occurrence of my letter. So what's going to happen? If it is a vowel, then this whole block here will return a number. It will return the number 1 if it is the first letter of vowels, is it an A, or it will return 0 if it's not a vowel, right? So if this is equal to 0, then I add it to the reduced message. Okay, so if this logic is equal to 0, math 0, done, done, done. All right, this is looking pretty intense, but I hope you could see that the way that I'm walking through it is very systematic. Okay, if it meets all these criteria, then we add it to reduce message. So I'll go into text, to item, reduce message, append letter. Append letter, and then I need to set the previous letter to the current letter. But when do I set it? I set it no matter what. I set it every time I loop through. Set item, previous letter to letter. Am I missing anything? Nope. Hit run. Good victories. Perfect! One go. Correct. Answer is saved. Okay. I hope everybody looks at this question, and it takes a long time, right? It takes a long time to solve, because if you miss out on any of the steps, if you decide to make a massive if statement at any point, you'll definitely run out of time. Now, we took 15 minutes to do this question, but to be fair, this is a level 3 finals question in intermediate. Level 3 question in finals, that's the maximum number of points that you can get per question, right? So you can expect these to be harder, but you can see that I don't need more than one screen's worth of code. So it is a very, very tight way that I've done to code it, but I hope everybody enjoyed learning that. Now, this is an example of a really, really hard question, and a few things need to be adhered to. You need to make sure that you know every single block in Blockly, and if you get invited to a finals round, then chances are you will know all the tools in Blockly, but you just got to know it inside out, know every single little bit to tackle the question in the way that it needs to be tackled, and also make sure that you know how to work with lists. Lists are really, really important. Now, one of the very important parts of this code is that I recognize that a word is actually a list of characters. So that's why I can go for each item letter in the list. And now, letter doesn't have to be letter. I just write letter so that I know what it is, instead of having I's and J's and K's and things like that, right? I want to make sure that my code makes sense. All right, so that is from me today. I hope everybody had fun doing this super hard question. If you have any questions, make sure you comment in the comment section below, and I will see you again next week. Bye-bye.